It is a truth most universally acknowledged that when you have a darning or project basket, all the most used and useful items will quickly migrate to the bottom, where you have to dig out every other item in the quest for your most favorite thimble. That is, unless you have somewhere to put them. The Hussif or housewife is a little sewing kit, usually made of cloth and popularized by soldiers in the 18th century who had to tend their own garments at the front. But they were also the obvious choice for sewists everywhere to keep their sewing baskets organized, and they could be anything from really simple to lavishly embroidered and decorated. I thought something like it would be the perfect addition to any time I found myself traveling outside the workroom. Alright, so I have pulled out my pile of scraps that I think are gonna be relevant or look nice together for this project, and yeah, it's a lot of black and white, black wool and lighter linens. I really should go through this and sort of pull out the stuff that is too small to be pieced and is basically just stuffing, but you can piece the most amazing things, so I'm stubborn. And we also have our little embroidery that we are gonna fit in somewhere on the Hussif, and I also have, because I want to secure scissors and thimbles and stuff like that so they don't fall out when this is traveling, so I actually took the rest of the warp from the Dublin Dragons weave and I just braided them off into different thicknesses of small little cords. So that'll help us keep everything where it should be. But before we start laying out everything and assembling, I thought I was just going to make a little pouch to go in the Hussif. I don't know about you, but whenever I am out and about or lounging in the sofa, I always forget to bring something to put my scrap threads in. And I just sit there going, where do I put my thread clippings? So I thought I would make a little scrap pouch. And this is just the sort of the pieced linen, if you saw it, from my pieced pocket project. And then this is a piece where I experimented on the embroidery for the walnut pincushion before I realized that this fabric was not going to work. But it's kind of cute all the same, so I thought I would just have this, make a little pouch with a round base and line it with this, and once that is finished, I think we have all the main pieces, and then we're gonna lay out our wool and see how it's gonna look when we assemble it. Looking back, lining my scrap pouch like this did make it a bit on the junkier side, so maybe just find some sizable scraps and fold the edges down. It does work though, so I'm still going to use it. I like that it is wide enough that I can fit my hand inside and also turn it inside out when it needs to be emptied. I was mistaken earlier though. I also feel the need to include a little pincushion in my sewing kit. Even if I won't store my sewing needles there, I do like being able to quickly put down and pick back up needles and pins as I'm working. This looks like it will be the last thing I use the pieced scraps from the pieced pockets leftovers for, and I think it will be cute. If you haven't noticed yet, I am not worried about trying to make this project, or indeed this whole channel, perfect. Wonky and functional will do nicely. And I sometimes find it very liberating to notice that a thing I made is a bit askew and then not be bothered by it. Next up, I am doing the thing where I am just laying out the different items I want to have room for. I made a little checklist in advance, so now I'm just spacing things out and thinking visually. The big pocket at the bottom was an absolutely non-negotiable, as it adds so much versatility for the different odds and ends that might be required for different projects. I am not going to line my pocket, although in retrospect I feel like maybe I should have, as it was the only thing I did not line in this whole project. Oh well. For now, I am binding off the top edge with some black velvet ribbon from my stash. I did have quite a bit left over from a different project, but never enough for a garment-sized thing. And not quite the heart to buy more, since most easily accessible velvet trim these days is just plastic. Maybe one day I will splurge on some beautiful silk velvet trim, but for now we are using what we have. Binding done, I stitch up the aforementioned pocket. And then likewise for our embroidery. I am putting it on the inside to avoid wear and tear from rattling around inside of baskets, but it would look cute on the outside too. Next up is vehemently not a piece of scrap fabric. I did consider piecing some linen for the lining, but I did buy this little end of bolt happy green and gold swirly fabric specifically to add small pops of color to my projects, so sometimes you have to follow the joy. I do not apologize. This green lining will also be the flap on our pocket, so I am lining just what will be that flappy bit with some linen. And yes, for that we are back to our fabric leftovers. And then I stitch just the top and bottom of our lining to the wool body. I am leaving the sides open so I can reach in and attach things without making the outside look messy. I have made a little triangle-ish patch of black wool to contain our sharp scissor friend. I am also securing our scissors with some of the aforementioned braided string, because good snips should not be at risk of falling out or getting lost entirely. Our little pincushion friend is really rather crudely attached to our lining with big stitches and thick thread, yet again proof that we can cover up all our little misdeeds with lining. For our little wooden needle case, I am sewing on the patch with the needle case already inside. Unlike our scissors, it is very round and three-dimensional, so this just helps me make sure that it fits snugly. A second string for our thimble. And another one for our little scrap pouch, so that it can be open or closed independently of whether it is attached to the Hussif or not. I also added a little loop to the back of the pouch to accommodate this.
And
And this is what it looks like before the finishing touches. I think I'm just gonna stop here. I'm not gonna add more pouches because we do have our little pocket to hide any specific like string colors, thread, pins, anything specific to any project like buttons. Hey Sud. But I think this is all I'm gonna put like in the front. So now we're just gonna bind off all these edges and all around with some velvet tape that I have left, and I'm gonna add a little bit of a thread here so that we can tie it shut when it is closed, and then this will be done. Kiki for skill. Hi. This short piece of black trim is also, sadly, 100% unabashed plastic. I think it came with a package at one point, but now it can at least be of use for many years to come. I then decided my pocket flap would look good with some black velvet binding as well. I know I already lined and finished it, but I wanted to. I am also adding 2 strips of trim across our Hussif to cover up the lining edges. This is the only instance where I go all the way through to the wool on the outside on purpose, so that everything is stitched down nicely. I still try to keep my stitches as unobtrusive on the outside as possible though. And at last, we bind our sewing kit all the way around with what is left of our black velvet trim, no raw edge left behind. I do love the blackest of black look of this trim though, even though it is devastatingly uncompostable plastic. I don't think it is the most necessary, since our Hussif will be folded up when not in use, but I still wanted to add a little button to our pocket. This is another singleton from my stash, and yeah, tiny haberdashery tidying time. The thread for my buttonhole is thick black silk. I find that the easiest way to get a neat result is to use nice thick thread and to place the stitches just that little further out than you think it needs. And our little sewing assistant friend is done. Mine is quite large because I wanted it to have room for all of the things, but it can be any size you find most useful. So until next time, allow yourself to do the thing, even if it isn't perfect. I still have so many scraps left in my scrap heap though. Perhaps 2023 is the year to try using up more of them. Thank you for watching.